It is Wednesday, my dudes, and time for an old man yapping. So, the thing that's kind of been on my mind today is that I have now been playing Yakuza 0 for just over 72 hours. And it is about to catch up to another game in my library, Soulstone Survivors. It's about to hit the 73-hour mark where it will overtake that game and it will become more popular in my library. It will be something that I've played more than Soulstone Survivors. And the interesting thing is that I don't even like Soulstone Survivors. Which begs the question, why did I play it for 73 hours? And the biggest reason is that I'm stupid and I make bad decisions. Never underestimate how much that factors into why you do the things you do. You're stupid and you make bad decisions. We're all monkeys in pants. Our brains are machines made of meat, and if you push the right buttons, the monkey will dance. It's just the way human beings are built. And it's stupid, and you make bad decisions because of it. With Soulstone Survivors in particular, there are a bunch of levels that you have to unlock, and there are a bunch of settings that you have to unlock. There's a tech tree that a skill tree, really. There's a skill tree that you have to fill out. There are all of these unlockable characters, and there's always this sense. I always have the idea that if I don't unlock everything, it's just there's one thing in there that's fun that I don't know about yet. And if I don't find it, then I won't have any fun. And then years later, I'll be talking to somebody and they'll go, "Did you do the thing?" I'll be like, "Oh, man, I didn't know that thing was in there." I'm stupid and I make bad decisions. But I'm also very much from this collect them all generation, which predates Pokemon rather significantly. It goes back to the 70s. I mean, it was very much a thing about the Star Wars merchandising, but that merchandising was not the first time they went, "There are 50 of these, collect all of them." Because I remember being substantially younger than I was when I saw it. Well, not substantially younger, just a year or two. I remember being younger than when I saw Star Wars. And there were already collect them all messages. And one of them in particular, there was a cereal called Freakies, which was not very good. But inside boxes of cereal, they used to have little plastic toys. And Freaky's cereal used to have little toy calculators. There's a calculator that helped you add numbers, and a calculator that did subtraction, and one that did multiplication, and one that did division. And it said collect them all. And I very distinctly remember wanting to get all 4 of these stupid little calculators. Why? I don't know. I'm stupid and I make bad decisions. I didn't need the calculators to do maths, even at that age. But there's also the thing about maybe the reason I could do maths at that age is because I thought calculators were cool and wanted to collect all 4 of them out of this fucking cereal. And that was always frustrating. But yeah, I wanted to collect all 4 of these things. Why? I don't know. And then I got all bent out of shape because they came in multiple colors. They came in red, yellow, blue, and green, of course, because those are the colors everything came in back then. And I wanted all 4 of my calculators to be red. I also wanted to collect all 4 colors of all 4 calculators. So there are actually 16 different calculators. And I'm like, I want to get this stuff out of the cereal. And I was very, very upset when they stopped putting the calculators in the cereal and I couldn't get them anymore. And that was when I was like 5 or 6 years old. There's a funny story about when I went and saw Star Wars, because I didn't actually want to see Star Wars. I didn't give a shit about Star Wars. I didn't know what Star Wars was. Hadn't heard of the damn thing. But there was another film called Wizards by Ralph Bakshi. It's a great animator. Absolutely fantastic animator. And he had done The Hobbit. And he was working on a Lord of the Rings film. And I really wanted to see Wizards. But it wasn't showing at any of the theaters in our area. They were all showing Star Wars. So my dad had to drive me to a neighboring town where Wizards was playing at the theater. And when we got there, we found that they, too, were not showing Wizards. They were showing Star Wars. Because so many people wanted tickets to Star Wars that they said, well, let's pull this Wizards thing out of the theater because nobody gives a shit and nobody wants to see it, and we'll replace it with another screen of Star Wars. So they did that. And I was very upset because I wanted to see Wizards. And my dad said, well, this Star Wars thing looks pretty popular. Why don't we go see that? So I went and saw Star Wars. I mean, that's a great thing. You know, Star Wars was fucking fantastic. And seeing it in its original release on the big screen, that was fucking wonderful. But at the same time, you know, still really upset that I didn't get to see Wizards. And I wouldn't get to see Wizards for years and years. I think it was the mid-90s before I finally got the opportunity to see Wizards, because you couldn't get it on video for the longest time. They never had it on cable. It never came back through theaters. They never showed it on television, because there's a lot of messaging in Wizards that was overtly political. So it wasn't until the mid-90s that you could get it on home video. And then it was really fucking expensive, because that's how it worked in the 90s. Yeah, in the 90s, when a video came out, I talked about this in my physical media tape, or my physical media video, which was not a tape. I recorded it on video. It goes on a tape. What the fuck? I'm old. I say right in the title, I'm an old man. Leave me the fuck alone. But, you know, movies would come out and they'd be $100 for years until they made enough money to drop back down to a reasonable price. And it was just too expensive to get for the longest time. And I had a friend who was just like an insane nostalgic collector of things from his youth. And he bought the expensive $100 copy of Wizards. And that was the opportunity I got to watch it. So anyway, this fear of not getting to the good part is so much more pronounced in Yakuza 0, because there are 8 million things in the game and none of them are related to each other. There's a disco dancing game that I'm sure some people like. There's a karaoke game. I'm not a rhythm game person. There are 2 versions of the karaoke game. There's one where you're singing the song, and then there's one where you're cheering the person who's singing the song, which is clearly there for you to have something to do in multiplayer. But you can also, just like in single player, you can tell like the hostess to sing and you'll cheer. And I'm just like, why would they put this in? It doesn't make any sense. There's a place in the game where you can watch quote unquote erotic videos. Well, that's just a woman going to the bathroom. Bonus points if you recognize that reference. But but they're all just women in bikinis. And it's like, it's these little 30, 45-second videos that it's just a girl in a bikini looking cute. And they call these erotic videos. I don't know, maybe this is just in the American market. We're kind of prudes over here. So they might have been better videos of the Japanese version. I don't know. But yeah, you've got a little porn theater where you can watch these little short videos. There's a vending machine in a back alley where you can buy a shrink-wrapped girly magazine. You can't open it and read it, but you can buy one. There's a sub-story where you have to buy one for somebody. But why? Why can you buy this? There's a slot car racing track. There's an area in the game where you have to go and race slot cars. It has a track editor. There are arcades scattered around the city, and when you go into them, they have classic 80s Sega arcade games. There's so much shit in here. It's just, there's stuff everywhere. And there is a possibility that, like, any game you could imagine, like if you go, oh man, you know what the perfect game would be? And then you describe your perfect game. There's a chance that Yakuza 0 has that already in the fucking game. And, God damn it, what is wrong with my autofocus today? There's a chance that it's already in the game, and if you look around, you can find it. And that's just mind-blowing. That's ridiculous. There's so much shit in this game. And then there are all those fucking cutscenes. Now, I've been spending most of my time in the game. Like, I've spent the last 4 days, really. So I unlocked it shortly before I started the video about how much the cutscenes suck. But there's a real estate game where you have to, like, buy real estate in the area, and you have to improve it, and you have to manage it, and you collect money and whatnot. And that game's really cool. And it doesn't unlock until, like, Chapter 9. So you have to play half of the main storyline before this thing even unlocks. And then there's a guy in clown makeup over by the CP shrine, which is unfortunate. As you play the game, you collect completion points. Completion points can be spent at the shrine. And of course, completion points is kind of long to type out, so they call it CP. So you have to collect CP and take it to the shrine, where you can trade it for a character progression, which is, again, CP. You trade your CP for CP at the shrine, so you can collect it all. That's definitely unfortunate. But the real estate thing is really cool. There's a separate game that you unlock just before that is the hostess mini game. I don't really like that one. But in order to like get 100% at the game, which a lot of people are very proud of themselves for doing, you have to get high scores on all of the mini games. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to walk away before I try to get the high score on that fucking disco dancing shit. That's not happening. I'm not going to be getting the high score on karaoke. Nope. I have, however, beaten all of the races on the slot car thing because you have to. You have to beat all of the races to get one of the properties. There's a friendship gauge thing. There's certain people, there's certain store owners and certain people around town that just like, they can be your friend. And you have to like do stuff for them. And if you do stuff for them, they become your friend. I don't know that I'm going to be tracking down every single one of these people and going, hey, be my friend. But there are benefits to that usually. Like you fill up somebody's friendship meter and they're like, here, have a $500 million property to add to your real estate portfolio. Oh, here is this thing you can't buy in stores. Well, that's cool, I guess. But I don't know. I don't feel like I need most of this shit that I'm unlocking and picking up. But the thing about Yakuza 0 and the thing that really offends and upsets me about the cutscenes is the game's good. It's a fun game. The open world is fun to engage with once you've unlocked enough of it, once there's enough stuff for you to do. And one of the things I'm going to have to go back and check, I'm going to have to go back and start a new game and go, okay, now that I know like what all there is to do and where that stuff is and how to go there and do it, how much of that stuff is there in the earliest chapters of the game? Because there is like loads and loads of stuff to do. I've been on chapter 10 since I was on chapter 10. The day after I did the Why Cutscenes Suck So Much video. The day after I did that, I made it to chapter 10, and I've just been on chapter 10 ever since. Because I'm going around and I'm doing all kinds of shit that is not progressing the game, and I haven't had to watch all that many cutscenes. I have had to watch a few. And it's very frustrating because you'll be doing the slot car racing thing, and it will do it's everything I fucking hate about boss fights. Okay? You start doing the race, and 80% of the way through the race, you'll fuck up and lose. And you'll go, well, what did I fuck up? How did I lose that? What did I do wrong? What am I supposed to do to fix this? And you don't know. But you have to sit through several fairly short cutscenes, like a few seconds. They're not long. But you have to sit through several of them where they go, oh man, you're a fucking loser. And then you have to start the race again. And you have to start the race, and you have to go through all the cutscenes. Oh, do you want to race? Okay, cool. What kind of race do you want to do? You want to do this race? Do you want to change your car? How do you want to change your car? What do you want to do? Oh, right, the race is starting. Look at this. Look at the track. Look at this feature of the track. Look at that feature of the track. This is what lane you're in. This is where you're starting. Oh, boy. And you got to sit there and go through that, and you're just sitting there pushing the A button. It's ridiculous. Excuse me. But yeah, the game is fun, but at the same time, it just it underscores something. Namely that you cannot produce content as quickly as people can consume it. One of the things that I pegged on in the Why Cutscenes Suck thing is the developers and the modelers and the animators and the texture artists and the writers and the director and the project manager. They spend a lot of time and energy and effort and money making these cutscenes. And God damn it, they want you to watch them. They want to put everything into the cutscene. They want to go, look at this fantastic cutscene we made for you. And they want to make you watch it. And they've been working on this cutscene for months. And I'm going to sit here watching it for 20 minutes. And I'm going to spend that whole 20 minutes going, shut the fuck up. Oh my God, yeah, I get it. I understand. You can see the pores in Kiryu's skin. Yes, very good. Fantastic. Yes, his face is very expressive insofar as he makes expressions at all. Yes, you've done an excellent job on the eyebrows. You've done a fantastic job on his hair that doesn't move or go anywhere or do anything. But it looks like hair. It doesn't look like a fucking plastic wig like it did in previous titles that I've seen from other people. Oh, you guys did such a great job on this cutscene. I'm done now. Move the fuck on. They've spent so long on it. They've worked so hard. They've spent so much money that they want you to watch it. I will consume it in 20 minutes. I will not enjoy it. I will not have fun. I will spend the whole time wishing they would shut the fuck up. They have to make me watch it because otherwise I won't look. I don't care. I just don't. Oh, God. This time of year, I swear. You can't produce content as fast as people can consume it, which is why you need algorithmic, generative, procedural content. And that's one of the things that we're working on with the garbage farting machine, with OpenAI and Meta and Google and Apple. They're all working on procedural, algorithmic, generated content. And the reason that they're working on this is you simply cannot produce it fast enough to keep people's attention, because people's attention wanders. Microsoft alone, among all of these people, has produced a research study. They asked a question, and it's a fairly important question, and that question is, what is the effect on people when you use these generative algorithms? You know, what does it do? What are the results? And their report came out not long ago, and they said, hey, you know, if you give people these generative tools to do their job, they get worse. They get worse at their job. Things they could do better than the tool, they stop doing because the tool's good enough. I mean, it's almost as good as they are. Why should they do the work when the tool's almost as good? They become worse at problem solving, and they lean on the tool. They ask the tool to solve the problem instead of solving the problem themselves. They become less creative. They stop trying to come up with ideas. They ask the machine for ideas. And this is clearly destructive. They're still going to build it. They're still going to put it out there. I look around at all of my Microsoft products and I've got their fucking garbage farting machine in my browser, and a garbage farting machine in my code editor, and a garbage farting machine in my word processor. Everything has the garbage farting machine in it, just in case I want to go, hey machine, fart out some garbage. And now we have a report. We have an extensive study of multiple people by Microsoft that says, hey, this machine is bad for you. It hurts you. It makes you worse at your job. Why did you put it in everything? I mean, Nobody wanted it. Nobody asked for it. You know, that's not precisely speaking true. I worked in the industry. I did work in neural networks. I did these like multi-layered machine learning, deep learning, genetic algorithm things. And the problem was that we were not solving the problems that needed to be solved to produce machine intelligence. We were working on problems to trick people into thinking we had machine intelligence and to try and do things faster and better than people. And we thought we could do this. I find it really amusing because professors are losing their shit because they feed their exams into the garbage farting machine and it passes the test. It doesn't make honor roll, dude. You can still identify. I mean, the person who actually gets a B on the test, that's a real person. You know, the machine can't get a B on the test. Well, what about when it can? Maybe your test sucks. I don't know, man. If your test can be done by a machine, maybe it's not testing what you want to be testing. Maybe it isn't an accurate assessment of ability. Maybe the problem is you. But on top of that, exams are signaling devices. They don't mean you're good at something. They mean that you can recall information. And recalling information is something that we use to go, oh, if you can recall information about this subject, you probably know all of the subjects related to it. And if you know all of the subjects related to it, you would probably be good at creative thinking and problem solving around that group of things. We now have a report that says a person using a machine can look like they have good recall of that subject, and they can actually have good recall of the subjects around it. But they're worse at the creative problem solving. So now the test doesn't mean what we think it means. Being able to recall has never made you intelligent. It's just that being able to recall is a necessary foundation for intelligence. And presumably you would have built on that foundation. It's like going, well, you have an address. I guess you must have a nice house. Maybe it's a shitty basement apartment. Holy crap, it's been almost half an hour. Yeah, that's the thing that I'm thinking about today is the production and consumption paradox. People will always want to consume more than you can produce. And if you increase what you can produce, people will immediately update their expectations and want to consume more. As a developer, especially a game developer, you're going to hit that no matter what you do. You can't make everybody happy. You have to make mutually incompatible decisions. Like, I don't want to talk about that game. There was a game that really upset me and it really pissed me off because of some development decisions they made, and I'm not going to talk about it because I like the people who made that game and they worked really hard on it and they engaged with their community and they delivered what the community wanted, and they completely fucked everything up, ruined their artistic vision, and the end result was when they left early access, nobody gave a shit and nobody cared, and their game basically failed. They're probably never going to make another game again. But, yeah. So I don't want to kick them over a game they fucked up because they did what you're supposed to do. They listened to the community and they engaged with the community and they delivered what the community wanted. And the community fucked them because, to an extent, it's because they didn't listen to me. Because I told them, you know, if your community tells you there's a problem with your game, they're probably right. And if they tell you they know how to fix it, they're probably wrong. It's fucking autofocus. I swear, I need to replace this camera, but I can't fucking afford it. Actually, maybe I can. They're not that expensive. I could probably get like a fairly inexpensive webcam. I could probably get something for $20 that'd do the job, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I probably could have gotten a better camera for what I spent on this brass divider. Which isn't that much better than just using a compass. Man. Anyway, as game developers, as people who produce anything whatsoever that people consume, it's impossible to make everything that your audience wants. And your audience will never want to pay you for it. They will never appreciate how much time, energy, and effort it takes for you to build the thing. And they're never going to show it the respect that you think it deserves. They'll spend months on that cutscene, and they'll skip it. Because they don't care. I don't skip cutscenes my first time through a game. I never skip cutscenes. I watch them all. And it pisses me off how long they are and how many of them there are in Yakuza 0. One of the other things that comes up is you can't control how people engage with your game. You can't control how people interact with your game. And in the early parts of Yakuza, I didn't know my way around the city because I haven't played previous entries in the series. I didn't know where or how to find other stuff to do. And the only direction I was getting from the game was go to the next main story mission. So it felt like go to the next main story mission was the only thing that I could do. And the way I engaged with the game was probably very different from the way somebody who's played the first two games would engage with it. For those that aren't familiar, the original Yakuza came out, and then it got a sequel, Yakuza 2, and then it got Yakuza 0, and then it got its first actual PC release in Yakuza 3. At least that's how I recall it. Was not a fan of the series. It felt like a Metal Gear game, and the Metal Gear games suck. I know a lot of people are going to lose their shit on that. I had a guy on the last video who lost his shit about, hey, how dare you shit on Witcher and Cyberpunk? Because CD Projekt Red fucking sucks. They make bad games. They suck at their fucking job. And the problem is management. I like the people. The people are cool. They work hard. They have good ideas. But they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't manage their projects effectively, and their projects they're badly built and they're badly formed, and they release these buggy garbage bullshit games that are fucked up, And everybody just kind of looks past and goes, ooh. Why? Because you like them? I like them too. It's like, people go, why did you spend so much time playing Cyberpunk if you didn't like the game? I did the first time. When it first came out, I liked it. I waited 40 years for a fucking video game where I could walk around Night City and it felt like Night City. And you know, CD Projekt Red did deliver that. They delivered so much stuff in there. It's just, Night City is... It feels like Night City when you're walking around and listening to people and looking at the pedestrians, and you're looking at all of the ads, and you're looking at how stuff is constructed, and then you go and interact with it, and it's bullshit. It's like you're walking through a very realistic Old West town, and you go up to the saloon to go through the swinging doors, and the doors don't swing. And you go, why don't the doors swing? And you notice that behind the doors, there's no room. It's just a black curtain hanging over a hole in a piece of plywood that's been painted to look like an Old West saloon. And you turn around and you realize every building that you're looking at, no matter how good it looks from over here, it's all fake. None of it's real. It presents a good game, but there's no there. It's like there's a woman on the balcony of the brothel who's saying, why don't you come up here and see me? But there's no up here to go. It's you can't, there's no actual brothel in there. You can't go in and see the girls. They're not there. You can't go into the saloon and have a drink. There is no saloon. You can't go to the boarding house and talk to the people who are staying there. It's not a boarding house. Nobody is staying there. There's no inside to go into. It's all just propped up in the middle of nowhere. It's nothing. And that's so disappointing when it looks that good from the outside. But you can't go through that door. You're not allowed to go through that door. That door isn't really a door. It's just painted on a 3D object. And that's very distressing and it's very disappointing. But you accept that from video games. And then you go and you get in a car and you drive off down the street and you run into a guardrail and you run into the guardrail and your car punts up and back like a soccer ball that just hit the corner. And you realize they didn't change the default physics. They just didn't. They made zero fucking effort to say, let's make this car behave like a car. It behaves like a soccer ball because that's the default way a physics object behaves in that particular physics engine. You throw a grenade in the water and it doesn't splash. It goes off and it doesn't splash. And you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me the reason you have to sit in the car with Dexter Deshawn is immersion. What about everything else? What about all the other shit? What about every fucking game system? What about the part where you can have an intelligence of 1, you can use it as your dump stat, and you could still buy all of the cyberware to make yourself into this obscenely powerful netrunner? Why can you do that? You shouldn't be able to do that. There's a tripod that Cyberpunk sits on. There are 3 legs that Cyberpunk sits on. They're the 3 kind of paths that make Cyberpunk what it is. There's the street samurai where you get yourself chipped and jacked all over the place. You buy all the chrome you can afford, but you have to be careful because of cyberpsychosis. Well, Cyberpunk throws cyberpsychosis out the window. It's a thing that happens to other people, not a thing that happens to you. You can chrome up all you fucking want to. Doesn't fucking matter. The next bit is the netrunner. The netrunner has to invest in skills that are antithetical to the street samurai. The street samurai is going to, well, it's not the street samurai in Cyberpunk. The street samurai is Shadowrun. Played a lot of Shadowrun too. And in Cyberpunk, it was the Solo. The Solo had all of the chrome and whatnot. And then your netrunner had to make different decisions, had to have different priorities, because his thing was to do the computers. And you couldn't do the computers and be a badass fighter, so you had to pick one. And neither of these were any good with people. So then, of course, you needed a bard in the party. You needed a rogue. You needed a bard. And that was the rocker boy. And those 3 pillars, that's what Cyberpunk is built on. It's built on you can't be a solo and a netrunner. You've got to pick one. You have to pick either netrunner or solo, because being a netrunner is antithetical to being a solo. And being a solo has its trade-offs. It has its problems. There's a reason you can't just buy all of the shit and be the baddest motherfucker on the streets. And then there's the rocker boy. There are no rocker boys in Cyberpunk. Johnny Silverhand theoretically is one, but he does nothing that is iconic about the rocker boy. So they did make a really great facade of Night City. But they utterly fucked up the game mechanics, because you can't be a rocker boy at all, and you could be a solo and a netrunner at the same time. Nobody will stop you. And they missed the point. That's the sad thing about Cyberpunk, is they missed the fucking point. And at the same time, they illustrated the point. Because so much of Cyberpunk is about style over substance. And the game is all that style, but no fucking substance. They just didn't bother. They didn't care. And I'm fundamentally offended by that. At some point, I'm going to go back to Witcher 3, and I'm actually going to grit my teeth, and I'm going to power through that fucking tutorial that goes on too long in a game that fucking sucks. Because maybe it gets better. Maybe there's something in it. Maybe it is unfair for me to complain that after 4 hours of playing Witcher 3, it fucking sucks. It's garbage. I don't like it. The combat's crap. This fucking card game's crap. The tutorial goes on too long. Whole goddamn thing's on rails 2 hours in. Too many cutscenes. The cutscenes are fucking stupid. When are video game companies gonna stop trying to make sex in cutscenes look good? We're gonna bump the Barbies together. Yes, the sex scene that you just did. We don't normally do those cutscenes in games because they suck, because they look awful. Oh, it looks better than any other cutscene has ever looked. Yeah, it does. It's like saying, this is the tastiest turd I've ever let out. It's still a fucking turd. I don't want to eat your turd. Get that shit out of here. You're just opposed to sex? No. Sex is great. Put the sex in the video games. I think it's awesome. I think the best implementation of sex in a video game I have ever seen was in Fable. They just Hemingway it. You fade to black, there's a few lines, picture comes back up. And you don't have to watch some clumsy incel fuckwad bumping the Barbies together. Nobody learned anything from that. Fable also said, why do we even have cutscenes? Why don't we just have the people in the game? Why don't we just have the in-game engine animate the characters doing what we want them to do and say the lines that we wanted to say? Why don't we just do it in engine? And if you don't fucking care, you can leave. I liked that. The cutscene never interrupted things. You go, hey, what's going on? It's like, oh, let me tell you about my son. Don't fucking care. You have fun with that. I'm going over here. That was great. I fucking loved it. They're doing a new Fable game. They're probably going to fuck it up. Anyway, all of the problems that that Cyberpunk had at launch, all of the problems that it continues to have, they're failures of management. They're failures of the people at CD Projekt Red to put their attention in the right places. They don't do a bad job of what they're looking at. They're just not looking at the right things. And they consistently don't look at the right things. They lose track of the big picture. They lose track of the experience. And they have this same problem that a lot of game developers have, that every game developer is prone to, that I've been prone to in the past. And the only way I manage to avoid it, if I ever do, which maybe I don't, the only way I manage to avoid it is by bearing in mind 100% of the time, I am immersed in this thing. My experience of it is very different than somebody who's experiencing it for the first time. And that somebody has the opinion that matters. Because fundamentally, when you put a game out on Steam, the most important thing for getting and keeping the money is that first 2 hours. That first 2 hours of playing the game, that has to be good. And it has to make your customer happy. Because it's not just about keeping the money, it's about getting more money. And getting more money means getting more players. And getting more players means you need the people who play your game to leave a good review. And you need them to keep playing your game. You need them to you need them to get that playtime, because playtime is what Steam uses to go, oh, that game's popular. People like that game. But way too many people are saying, how do I make people keep playing my game? Yakuza 0 isn't doing this because it was a PlayStation exclusive. They didn't have this thing. You bought a disc. You know, they already had your money. There was no refund. It was not happening. So they didn't have to do that. So that isn't what they're doing. What they're doing is just going, we worked so hard on this. Please stare at it. I don't wanna. You can replay all of the cutscenes. That's good, because if you skip the cutscene and it turns out there was something important in it, you can go, oh, God damn it, I got to go back and watch that shit. I'm out of coffee. I have been talking for almost an hour. Yeah. A lot of stuff in here. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. I would like to say something at this point to kind of wrap all of this up and give it some kind of closure. But I don't really have anything. I have a bunch of shit I could say about production and consumption, but if there's one thing I know from previous videos on this channel, people run like hell from any discussion of economics. Nobody's watching this anyway. I can probably just go ahead. Nobody's watching this. Nobody's here. Average watch time is like 20% of my videos. Nobody is watching the last 20%. There's nobody here. I could pull my shit out and wave it at the camera. Nobody would notice. Nobody would care. Actually, YouTube would notice. They would automatically detect it and go, it looks like you had your penis out here. That sounds like me. All right. Anyway, I'm going to stop yapping for the moment. And I'm going to go try and round out this this real estate bullshit. I'm at 57% on the fifth area, the Media King territory. Because they went, hey, compete against the Media King in disco dancing. Yeah, okay. I suck at this. I'm not a rhythm game person, and the reason I'm not a rhythm game person isn't because I don't have rhythm. It's because connecting rhythm with the pressing of buttons, that's pressing buttons with the right rhythm isn't something that I can easily do. Also, you know, I kind of feel like it's a bad idea to try to dance to a song that you've never heard before. It doesn't seem smart. But yeah, I lost that miserably. I think I got 60 points. The Media King got like 6,144 points. I got 60. I'm garbage in that fucking minigame. I'm garbage at most of the minigames. And unfortunately, I will probably get to a point where it's like, oh man, I really need to collect the CP for that. And I'll have to go and get good at some of the games. I don't know, man. It's frustrating. It's really fucking frustrating. Anyway, that's more or less that. So, okay, bye.